Anyway.
I'm looking at this one. This one?
Yep, just look there when it's just on black screen right now, so it'll go straight to the middle and then it'll switch it to your camera.
Okay. Hey everyone, and welcome to another episode of Great Stories Presents Comic Shop Talks. I'm Ken Lee of The Crank File, and with me as always is the owner and proprietor of Great Stories himself,
Chris Mills. Nice to see you guys, or nice to have you see us, as it were.
Back.
Yes.
Good to be back in studio.
So I specifically chose my shirt today based upon our subject matter.
We're going back to Spider-Man once again.
Going back to Spider-Man, that's right. And I'm sorry, this is not a harbinger of what's to come for Peter Parker.
Oh. Is it a harbinger for what's to come for us?
Yes, exactly.
Very topical.
Because 2020 is almost nigh. And so are we? Is that what it is?
Yeah, that's what I was thinking the shirt was going.
Okay.
Hopefully
So-
this is more Endgame than it is the Infinity War. So
Let's hope.
Yeah.
Let's hope. So we last time we spoke, we had some. We were talking about the storyline, the Sins Rising
Sins
storyline.
Rising, right? So we're continuing on discussion about Nick Spencer's current run on Amazing Spider-Man, and we picked it up with this recent arc, Sins Rising, which really, as we said, was like a very dark turn for this series. Before it felt very lighthearted, your classic,
Yes.
kind of like jokey Spider-Man, friendly neighborhood web slinger out there having
Yep.
fun, running amok with these crazy characters.
Yeah.
And it took a dark left turn.
He's gone emo.
He's gone Tobey Maguire in Spider-Man 3, right?
Yes, exactly. Exactly.
But we don't talk about that.
No. We can't mention that. That was
The
long
last-
since history.
Yeah. But the last time we left off, we had Sin Eater, basically infiltrating Ravencroft, and we're kind of getting down to this his master plan, which is to cleanse Norman Osborn.
Yes.
So that's where we pick up. We're in Ravencroft, and it's like Sin Eater's like acolytes, and they've all somehow been able to take the powers that the Sin Eater, when he cleanses these people, he's absorbing the powers, and he's
Yes.
been able to transmit them to his followers. So these guys all kind of like juiced up, right?
Exactly. And of course, leaving the people he cleanses to be repentant and remorseful of all their actions, right?
Right. They're
like,
actually
he's
cleansed of their sins.
Yeah,
And they seem like they're completely different people.
right. Which seems to be a good thing on one hand, right?
In one hand, you think, yes, like you're rehabilitating these people, but on the other hand, you're doing it not of their choice, right? This is like a free will thing. It's like you're forcing this upon them.
True. Yep.
So there's that, I think, and that's where this like the old Parker dilemma of like what's right, what's wrong in this situation. And for Peter, he's looking at this situation where Sin Eater wants to come and basically take care of his greatest nemesis, and Peter does not. He's not going to let it happen.
That's right. And, Peter's not going to let it happen, but there's a whole host of other guys out there, or ladies, who might have other plans.
Mostly ladies. Right, the Order of the Web. So the Order of the Web is this group of other Spider people. It's Spider-Gwen, the Gwen Stacy of an alternate universe. You have Miles Morales,
Yep.
Cindy Moon, the Silk,
Yep.
Jessica Drew, the Spider-Woman,
Yes.
Julia Carpenter, who's now, I believe,
Spider-Girl?
I think she's Madame Web, the
Oh, that's right.
one with
yes.
the red
Yes.
blue blockers.
Yep.
And Anya Corazon, another Spider-Woman. So we have this whole group of people that are in the spider, like are spider people, like Peter,
Yes.
that obviously love and have a great deal of respect for Peter.
That's right.
They all think that this is a terrible idea, that really the better option would be, well, maybe just let Sin Eater do his thing and
Right.
kind of look the other way, problem solved.
Because don't they also understand or have a vision of a possible future that the Green Goblin is going to eventually kill Peter Parker?
Right, and every one of their visions they have of their futures in whatever the outcome, it always comes down to the Green Goblin being the one to kill Peter Parker.
Right.
So by allowing Sin Eater to basically cleanse Norman Osborn at this point, it's basically saving Peter.
That's right.
But Peter is not going to allow himself to be saved because of his, his code, right? His code of being a hero. He has to do what's right. And I think this conflict really sets up, like, this dilemma that Peter has. He's always trying to do the right thing. He's always trying to be the hero. But regardless of that, people always end up getting hurt. Regardless of his best intentions, people either get hurt, they die in a lot of situations. And I think that's a lot of where this particular series has been going. And we see that in this arc, and then also in the subsequent arcs. But that's getting ahead of ourselves. Yes. So we have the raid on Ravencroft, and we see that one of Sin Eater's goals, well, to get to Norman Osborn, is to go and cleanse Juggernaut.
Yeah, that's right. Ravencroft's #1 prisoner.
Right. Kept in like the sub basement, right?
Yeah, that's right. That's right. Yeah. Can you imagine absorbing Juggernaut's power along with all the other powers that he currently has?
I cannot.
What could possibly stop him?
And what could possibly go wrong? I mean, what was really crazy about when he absorbs Juggernaut's powers, like the physical mutation he goes under, because not only does he become like completely jacked out, like like a Hulk type character, his head like somehow gets like deformed, so the character Juggernaut has that like dome-shaped helmet.
That's right.
But like Juggernaut Kane Marco doesn't have a dome-shaped head.
No.
He's just got a normal head and like a weird helmet.
Yeah.
And it's funny that like when Sin Eater cleanses him, for some reason his head becomes like squashed, like he's some kind of weird mutant.
Yeah, that was a little odd. I didn't know how to take that. I'm not sure why that happens, or if it's just an amalgamation of all the other things that he's absorbed.
And he's just like blowing his head off.
Yeah, he looked like something out of, gosh, I'm trying to remember that movie with Elizabeth Banks. It was a horror movie, but it was kind of like an offbeat horror movie where these alien things come down and basically take over people and they transform them, turn them into like crazy things. It's kind of what it reminded me of. I'll remember the movie at some point. Probably when I'm driving home.
Done, yeah.
Yeah, exactly. So maybe Phil, producer guy, can put in what I'm referring to later on.
Skype him later.
That's right.
It reminded me of like Hammerhead from He-Man. Just like he kind of just like had like that stout head. I don't know.
Yeah, something like that. But yeah, it was crazy. So
amidst all this, basically Peter and Norman realizes like he's no help in this fight. Like he's got nothing. So he's like, look, the only way I can actually help is I got to take the Goblin Serum.
Help himself.
Yeah. Well, yeah, right.
Yeah.
He's like, hey, I don't want to do this, but we kind of have to.
Yep.
So he downs the serum and reverts back into the Green Goblin, and it's kind of crazy because for a while we have Spider-Man fighting side by side with Green Goblin.
Is that a first ever?
I can't imagine. I can't remember any time when they fought side by side.
I was trying to remember myself to if there was any other point in his history where they have been allied, even for a few moments,
right,
in any book, and I can't think of one. So, do you guys know of any?
Yeah,
please correct us. If you do recall something in his history, or their history rather, where they did work together. But so here we have it. The probably the most unorthodox team up in Spider-Man history.
Yes, and it's interesting because there's a good fight that's being had, and like there's a couple sections where like the Green Goblin saves Peter's life, and like there's these moments where he's opening up to Peter about their relationship in a way that we've never really seen before, where he talks about how originally when he donned the Green Goblin outfit, had these powers and was flying around, he saw Peter and he related to him. Like he saw another mask, he saw another person that was like him, just out there, using it with like power.
Yep.
And what their responsibility was to do with it. Obviously, they chose to go different ways with it, but we realize that the Goblin feels like that Spider-Man at that time kind of rejects him, and that this has led to like further fueling his resentment towards Spider-Man. Is that like, hey, we were supposed to be like, it's almost like a Batman Joker thing the way I saw it. Like, they're like two sides of the same coin where one doesn't exist without the other.
Yep.
They're tied to this this bond, this relationship that neither can escape. But the fact that Spider-Man wouldn't acknowledge him, like really hurt him. Like really hurt him, which I thought was interesting. I never considered that part of their dynamic before.
And I don't think Peter as a character did either.
Right.
Which was kind of a cool thing, that he's kind of like introspective about that whole thing.
I totally agree.
Yeah.
Because I think that Peter feels a lot of guilt about people that he doesn't help, people he can't save.
Yes.
And at that point, he realizes, like, oh my gosh, like this is like one of my biggest failures. I failed to save Norman Osborn. I failed to save him from himself, from this Green Goblin persona of his.
That's right.
So
But even after that hurt, he does something that's even more damaging to Norman Osborn, and that's save his life.
Yeah, he did not like that.
And leaving him almost in debt,
Yes.
a form of debt to him.
Yes.
Which, of course, takes this crazy narcissist person to another level of crazy and level of hatred towards Spider-Man.
How dare you?
Yeah. How dare you burden me with that? I already hate you as it is, and now I owe you?
Now I owe you my life.
Yeah. So, yeah, it was very interesting. I had never really looked at the character from that standpoint either. It's easy to kind of treat characters in buckets of, either just totally good, totally bad, not really considering all these extra layers of emotion and complexity, right?
Totally.
And so it was a really cool moment. And one thing I want to point out too is how in the very early stages of the battle against Sin Eater, Green Goblin and Spider-Man are not working very well together.
No, right.
And I think it took them having this almost like philosophical exchange, right? Where they actually started to relate to each other, and then it was after that that they actually start to team up on a much better level together, which is kind of interesting, right?
They start like working together on these plans.
Yeah.
And they come up with this plan to finally stop the Juggernaut, right? They're going to use an EMP to liquefy the concrete and trap the Juggernaut in that.
That's
I think
right.
the science is a little dubious on that.
Probably, but in comic book world it works.
We're talking
right?
about a guy that was bitten by a radioactive spider and gained the powers of a spider, so we can just suspend our disbelief.
Exactly. But clearly the logic worked for those characters because they were right on the same page.
Yeah,
with
as
each
soon
other.
as they said it, he's like, "Yep, I got it."
It literally was on the same page.
It was literally on the same, just a couple panels from each other.
Couple panels, that's it.
And the plan actually does work. So Juggernaut comes in, and he's Sin Eater is like, he's still jacked out on Juggernaut. He's trying to blast Norman Osborn, stop him from detonating this EMP.
Yep.
And Spider-Man is basically just like throwing his body out there. He's getting his butt kicked. His bones are breaking. Doing everything he can to give Norman enough time to hit the switch, get the EMP running, and it works. Concrete melts.
That's right.
Juggernaut gets caught, and then we have like classic Green Goblin turn.
Yep.
And he of course turns and is like, well, I can't really stay in debt to you, so I'm going to drown you in the concrete here.
That's right. He saves him once, and then his next opportunity to bail out Peter Parker, nope. It's time to dunk your head, buddy.
But fortunately, the Order of the Web shows up
Yes.
just in the nick of time, saves them both, and whisks them both away out to safety.
That's right.
And this is where I feel like the issue gets very interesting, because Spider-Man at this point has done what he set out to do. He's done the heroic thing, saved his enemy, despite the fact that it might cost him his life. But then on the way out, Norman starts making comments to Gwen, and this goes back when we were talking about the previous Sins, not Sins Rising, the ones before that came before the other Sins series.
Yep.
Original Sins.
Original Sins, yep.
In which it was revealed that Norman and Gwen had a relationship, and that at some point Gwen actually had twins that were Normans.
Yep.
And that spins over a whole other arc of things that we don't need to dive into.
Right.
But what we see is that when he starts talking to Gwen, like making kind of like these lewd remarks, Peter just like completely snaps, right?
Yes. yes.
And he does all of a sudden, like all his heroic things just go out the window. He hits the eject button.
They do, yeah. Well, I mean, Norman basically alludes to the fact that he's going to do away with Gwen again.
Yeah.
You know, after he's had his fun.
Yeah. Really,
In a very really salacious and really nasty way, right? So it's you can't really blame Parker here.
No, I mean, like, you know, and I think it hits on, you know, Peter's guilt, because his mind, like, Peter already let Norman kill Gwen once, like, and he was not about to let it happen again.
Right.
Even though he just went through all this, you know, just bull crap in order to save this guy.
Yeah.
He just kicks him out and feeds him to Sin Eater.
Basically, you're on your own, buddy. Yeah, all that work to just turn, you know, like it was very interesting, and it was a very quick judgment that he made.
And
right?
it seemed like it was a critical juncture, because like immediately, like it cut to like Madame Web, and I forget what she says, but like she basically makes a point where, like, you know, you just like decided to make a decision. This is going to set you down a path.
Yep.
And she obviously kind of has an idea of where this is leading, and it seems like that was a critical decision for Peter, where things could have gone one way or the other. And we don't know whether he picked the right decision or not, but I'm guessing not, because he didn't do the heroic thing.
Right.
He went against what makes Spider-Man Spider-Man, and, you know, he kind of gave in to his more like negative, selfish impulses.
Yep.
So that's where we ended. I believe it was issue 49.
That was the oversized issue 49.
It was Legacy 850.
Legacy 850. Yeah.
Which I don't know.
That's right.
Yeah.
And then we've moved on from that.
Yes. Also, I believe that was the last issue with Ryan Otley on art. So
okay.
Starting with issue 50, I believe, we have Patrick Gleason taking up the artwork, and
yes.
I love Ryan Otley's work. I think it's very dynamic. He does like really good action, but it's slightly more. I think his art translates very well to something a little more lighthearted. I think the switch to Patrick Gleason on art really helped capture like the dark mood that this arc is going in.
Yes.
And I've really loved it. And
yep.
we start off, and where do we start off on issue 50? I'm trying to think. We start off with Sin Eater's cleansing Norman.
So Sin Eater, you know, it's now been revealed by this point that Sin Eater's really not the orchestrator of all these events.
Right.
Right. So I guess I'm getting ahead of it right now too, because we are talking about Sin Eater meeting Norman.
Yes.
And is there anything before we give away the fate that you wanted to say about that little exchange that they had?
I think I think it actually helps if we do the big reveal at the end of the issue.
Yep. Because
this actually ties in and gives more substance to this relationship. Because
yes.
At first we think like, oh, you know, this character Kindred, who is basically the mastermind behind the Sin Eater's motivations. He has some kind of relationship to Norman. We don't really know what it is, but it's clear that he has like a personal vendetta against him that's beyond just trying to, you know, take his powers as Green Goblin.
That's right.
And it's revealed at the end of the issue, after Sin Eater has successfully cleansed Norman of the Green Goblin, that Norman reveals that Kindred is his son, and we cut to an image of Harry Osborn looking sort of very grim out of a window into the distance.
Yep. Yep.
How did you feel? Well, before
Big
we go
surprise.
further, how do you feel about this reveal that it was Harry? Well, do we think it's Harry? We assume it is, right? They're kind of like hinting very heavily, like it says like it's my son. Cut to Harry Osborn.
Right. I don't know. I was a little thrown off by it. I mean, I was really grasping at a straw the last time you and I spoke about this, and I had no idea who Kindred was going to be, and I just kind of threw out this wild, swerve guess that it was going to be Norman himself.
Pretty close.
Yeah, exactly. If it is really Harry, then the apple didn't fall far on the guess.
Yeah.
So, but I mean, where has Harry been? Maybe I haven't before this last story arc, the Sins Rising story arc. I
Right.
hadn't really been keeping up with Spider-Man quite a bit.
Yeah.
So, has Harry been around? Like, has he been present in the
I
recent
mean,
times?
he hasn't really been shown prominently, I don't think. Like, as far as
No.
I haven't been keeping up with it since the relaunched #1 and Nick Spencer took over. But
Yep.
from what I have read, and I've seen him, it doesn't seem like they ever implied like that something was off about him.
Right.
It seemed like he was just like, just Harry. He was just like, Peter's.
He's just doing his thing.
Yeah,
and,
he's just doing his thing, and like
Yeah.
there was never any foreshadowing that it was him, which makes me think that this might actually this panel was a bit of a red herring.
No.
I'm still thinking that there's been a couple allusions that were made to the Sins Rising, and the twins, the illegitimate twins between Norman and Gwen, specifically his son Gabriel. I think Gabriel Stacy,
Yep.
who has ties to the Goblin and to supernatural stuff. So I'm still kind of hesitant to think that like this is actually Harry still. I
Yeah.
think that Harry is probably might be involved somehow, but I don't know if he is. I'm not ready to like say like, yeah, he's Kindred.
You're not jumping down that rabbit hole
I
quite
think
yet.
it's a head fake.
Okay.
But Kindred reveals himself to Sin Eater after Sin Eater has cleansed the Green Goblin, and he basically says, "Well, thanks for playing, but so long."
Norman, before he ended up getting cleansed, also kind of infers that the guy calling the shots isn't much of a, almost kind of like a jabroni. He basically calls him, for lack of a better word, right?
Yeah.
That's he doesn't have much respect for the person that Sin Eater is working for.
Yeah.
So I found that that's kind of interesting. I didn't know if that was like a villain bravado type of moment, or if that was like an honest assessment.
I think that does give more credibility to it being Harry, because like Norman has always had this sort of disdain for his son.
Yeah.
Like he always kind of saw him as like never really like living up.
Doesn't measure up.
Yeah, to like what his expectations were.
Yep.
So that part did make me think like, okay, so maybe he is talking about Harry. But yeah, you could tell like there's definitely that relationship there. And what's funny is that what I thought was interesting was, after he's cleansed, when he's talking about Kindred, his tone is completely changed, where he's like, he needs help. You have to understand. This guy's troubled.
Yeah.
It's very interesting the way that his view changes after he's been cleansed of the Goblin.
That's true, actually. Yeah, it's yeah, there's like empathy there.
Yeah.
There's a lot of empathy kind of shining through.
Which
Norman
is
at
interesting
this
because
point.
it's both Norman Osborn, right? It's
Yeah.
like, I thought that was very cool.
Yep.
But we see what Kindred does. So after
Yes.
Sin Eater takes the Goblin's power, which has probably been one of his plans all along, he uses it to then infect the Order of the Web, and all of Peter's friends become these horrifying, like vampire-like monsters.
Yes. Yeah, I was not expecting that turn of events.
You weren't expecting them all to be turned into freaking bat creatures.
No, not at all. And I think it was Silk who ends up is the first to get a piece of Parker, right?
Right.
And Spider-Man, and I know Spider-Man gives Silk props because he says, on a normal day, she is every bit as good as me, like
stand
and now,
toe to toe, yeah.
And now she is, amoral, basically, she's compromised,
Yeah.
so she's even more dangerous.
She's been like
right?
juiced up with the Goblin, like not only just his power, but also like his anger,
Yeah.
and his rage.
Exactly. So yeah, there's a lot of concern here, and enter Stephen Strange.
Yes. So we see Spider-Man end up at the doorsteps, the Sanctum Sanctorum.
Yeah, I believe so. Yep.
And he's in bad shape. Doctor Strange puts him under. healing spells. And when Peter comes to, like, Peter starts giving him the backstory, parts of the backstory.
Yeah.
He's leaving some like little bits out. Like he tells him about the Sin Eater, leaves out the little bit about Kindred.
Yep.
And he's asking for his help. He's like, hey, I need your help. I need your help to get to this guy.
Yep.
And he asks for his help, and Doctor Strange is about to use the hand of Vishanti, which is this artifact that will allow Spider-Man to travel to this astral plane. And he's reading the incantations, and it doesn't work, right? It's like something goes wrong. And what I thought was interesting is Doctor Strange makes a comment where he's like, you know, this doesn't make any sense unless, like, did you make an agreement with some? No, you know, he doesn't even like, he can't even consider it. But as a reader, we know, like, he's making a mention to Peter's deal with Mephisto.
Yeah.
That was made during One More Day, in which was the famous change in Peter's fate, where he basically gives up his marriage to MJ in order to save the life of Aunt May.
Yes.
And so much of this this series has been dealing with Peter's relationship with MJ.
Yep.
You know, he's constantly just missing her. You know, he's planning on proposing to her. He has the ring, but you know, they just keep not being able to like sync up where he has a chance to do it.
Right.
And it kind of feels like Peter made this decision so long ago, and it's actually preventing him from ever having a happy relationship with MJ.
Yep.
And I thought that was very interesting, and I think it's something that we'll see kind of come back again. I feel like a lot of these callbacks to two of probably the most hated Spider-Man storylines of all time, the Original Sins and One More Day, which changed a lot of Spider-Man mythos. A lot of fans feel for the worst. So I'm wondering if this is Nick Spencer trying to undo some of these past sins.
Oh, perhaps. I mean, I don't know Nick Spencer to be the crowd pleaser after what he did with Captain America. But yeah, maybe he's kind of turning over a new leaf. He wants to, you know, bring the Spider-Man faithful some hope for the future. You know, but I don't know. But we do find out there is a reason why his spell didn't work, right?
No, go ahead.
Doesn't a certain Felicia come into play here?
That's right. Oh, okay. So this, I believe, that happened in one of the Last Remains tie-in issues.
Yes.
One of like the 50.1 issues, right?
Yes. Yes.
And we find that before Spider-Man visited Doctor Strange, he stopped over at a friend's house and had and had Black Cat basically lift the real hand of Vishanti out from the Sanctum Sanctorum.
Yes.
And that was pretty funny. That actually, I really love the interaction between Doctor Strange when like he comes like showing up being like, give my hand back. It's like, this is a fake.
Yep. That was a real fun exchange actually, and
it was much needed levity.
It was, and the whole thing like, yeah, this isn't the first time I've been in your place, buddy. Like, you know, that type of thing. I thought that was really good.
Great banter.
But yeah, so I don't know. The story is taking some interesting turns here, and where do we go from here?
God, we had this crazy sequence where Kindred finally reveals himself.
Yep.
And what he's done is he's gathered up the corpses of all these people that Peter Parker and Spider-Man have loved.
Yeah.
And also has failed, and they have died in retrospect.
Yep.
And there's this just like crazy scene after like Spider-Man comes to, and it's like almost like a scene from Kraven's Last Hunt where he's like rising out of the grave, you know.
Yeah.
And then he comes across this mausoleum, and he goes in, and it's like a dinner table. They're having like a family dinner.
Yep.
And like he sees Gwen, he sees like Jean DeWolf, he sees Captain Stacy.
Yes.
He sees Ben.
Ben. Yep.
That got me, man.
Yeah.
It gets me now just talking about it. And I was
in Gleason's artwork on these panels, this is where it like really came to, you know, to like bang, like, oh my gosh, like the tone is like striking me right now, like hitting me in the heart and in the face at the same time.
Yes,
It's
agreed.
Like,
I mean, I can't agree enough. Like, Gleason's artwork in that sequence leading up to it was just terrifying.
Yep.
And it's just completely fit the tone of this arc so well.
Yep.
No, we have this crazy moment, and like Kindred is just like laying into Peter, just like, look what I've done to your friends. Look what you've done to the people you love. This is all your fault. Confess to what you've done. You know, admit it. And Peter's like just trying to deny. And then finally, like he does. Like Kindred's able to break him.
Yeah.
And you can feel just like all this guilt, all the battles, all the damage that Peter sustained over the years and decades, just like slowly chipping away until he says, I can't anymore.
Yep.
Kill me.
Yeah. Yeah. A very stark ending.
And then he does. Kindred goes, and in that last page,
Yep.
In a scene that was almost reminiscent of the death of Gwen Stacy, Kindred snaps his neck, and with just like one word bevel, snap.
Yep.
Now, of course, as Spider-Man, he's probably not going to stay dead. You think?
I don't know. Maybe Spencer's got another another balloon to pop here.
He's got another twist up his sleeve. He's gonna bring back the clones. Ben Reilly's gonna step in.
Oh gosh, Scarlet Spider.
Yeah.
Nice. I don't know where we go from here. So this was the part 2 of the Last Remains.
Last Remains, yeah. So
Last Remains. So
we did have this really epic battle
Yeah.
between Peter and Kindred, and I thought it was a good action sequence, right?
Yeah.
It's really mostly just an opportunity for them to talk. To finally, this is the first time they've really met.
Yep.
So they get some time to kind of feel each other out. At one point, Spider-Man like punches right through Kindred, like it's right through his body, and we can finally see like Kindred's he's not human.
Right.
He's clearly something supernatural.
Yes.
And that's why I think this is kind of tied back to like Mephisto. It seems like there's like a lot of demonic possession kind of stuff going on. A lot of
No
like
doubt.
really dark arts kind of stuff.
Yes.
So
Yep.
I'm very interested to see where this is going. I think that as long as you're still on board, like I would like to continue.
Oh, we have a lot more to talk about. I definitely want to continue this discussion next month. So
yeah.
I don't know how many more issues are going to be dropping upon us by the time we meet again.
Yeah.
So
At least 2. I mean, I think they're doing. I think Spider-Man at least coming out
Twice a month?
bi-monthly.
Yep.
And they have like the .1 issues that are coming around. We actually
Right.
had like I didn't think we are gonna have a ton to talk about.
Yeah.
Today, but
Right.
we had like 4 issues that
Yeah.
dropped between last time and now.
Yeah. That was a fun set of reads. I got caught up this week, and I was loving every minute of it. One person that wasn't liking it was my wife, because I was not paying attention. I was like totally wrapped in the pages, and I'm like, sorry, honey, I got a date with a comic book tonight. Sorry, can't do it.
That is so
Can't,
good. Yeah.
I can't talk now.
So
But
good.
yeah, it's been fantastic, and we'll definitely do this again real soon.
Cool.
So anyway, we would love to hear your comments about the current Nick Spencer Spider-Man run. Are you digging it as much as we are? So leave some comments below, and we'll be back with you soon with another segment.